Hello, citizens of YouTube. This is the Geeky Nerd here, and today we are going to be talking about how many magazines you should hopefully have. So first thing, safety check. Nothing in the mag. Nothing in the chamber. All okay to proceed here. So, magazines. If you own a semi-automatic anything that takes a magazine, it's one of the most crucial parts of your gun. More than anything, because if you can't feed the ammo, it's just a very expensive club. Also, for most semi-automatic weapons, the magazine is usually what causes most of the issues or is the Achilles heel, of course, except for certain guns just bad design in generally. And magazines, they do have a certain use life, so it's always good to have more than less. And while yes, with PMags and things like that, you can get multiple or thousands of rounds through them and they'll be perfectly fine. They will wear out eventually. I mean, the springs will start to wear, and like I said, if your magazine fails you, the gun's likely going to fail you, and that's already the weak point for most semi-automatic weapons. Not all, but some. Most. And for magazines, I like to classify them in three different categories. One is your specialty, high capacity use case, your drum magazines, your 60 rounders, things like that. Your everyday running gunners, your PMags, your Glock mags, things along those lines. And then your specialty, lesser used magazines, lesser used rifles, and to be discontinued magazines, or the possibility of being discontinued. So one thing, of course, with magazines is the fact that they vary greatly in price. You can get, just Glock mags or in this case, these standard, cheaper knockoff Glock mags made by PMag for $10 to $15 a piece. And then they go all the way up to, 60 for this AC Unity 60 round magazine, or up to 100. So it's generally, it can get expensive, but not always the case. Now, for whatever your magazine is, for what have you, I personally would recommend that you have at least 3 magazines for every gun it intends to feed. So if you own 2 AKs, you should have at least 6 mags. Just for the fact that 1 is none, 2 is 1, and 3 is a spare. Just good philosophy use, because again, these do wear out, and they are always good to have extras. And if you spend your money right and just pick up a mag every time you go to the range, or just every time you get your paycheck, or once a month, just go on Primary Arms and pick up a mag, have it shipped to your house. Of course, that's probably not the most economical choice for just given shipping, but you know what I mean. So in terms of, now, like I was saying, for 3 of the, or you should have 3 for each one of these regardless. However, there's ones where you should have more than 3, and ones where 3 will probably be enough. For your specialty, high capacity magazines, your drums, things like that, I would say 3 should be the limit, unless you're exclusively running these guys, which again, this is an AC Unity 60 rounder. They're nice to have, but they're not a necessary thing, and they're not as reliable as any one of these. And again, given the price of these, looking at about $60 a mag here, and some of the drums can go $100 a mag. It just, to me at least, it doesn't make sense to have 3 of those. I mean, at least 2, so that way if one breaks, you at least have a spare, or if that particular mag, because sometimes these ones, they like to have only a special run, they get discontinued a couple years, or, God forbid they get banned, then it's always good to have at least 1 and a spare. And then if you have 3, like I said, you got an extra. Shifting over to the other side, for your lesser used mags, now when I say lesser used, I mean they're not like your standard AR mags, AK mags, like your majority of people's platforms and things that they use. Now, while you can use these, and of course this will vary by situation, in this case we're using a PMag, chamber 7.62 51 or 308, whatever you prefer, Gen 3, 20 rounder. Good mags, however, don't use them a lot personally. Now, if you do, you should get plenty more of them. However, for most people, or at least for myself, I only see the point in having about 3 of these. Because again, it's not my primary fighting rifle, and it's not the most commonly used, and I don't really have anything that runs these except for 1 firearm. So for these, I would say get 3 as well. But if you feel like you want to get more, it's a lot easier to get more with these than it is with these. And if you're using the same thing, then why not? Now, with your specialty discontinued mags, now this is one thing that I see a lot of people just kind of forget, just disregard, is they'll get like a very special pistol or something rare or something unique that's not over here in the States. In this case, this is a Zastava Arms CZ999 mag. While this isn't discontinued, they are harder to find in the US than like your standard Glock mag. Like you can't go into your local gun shop and pick up, one of these, and you probably even pick up these, but still these are unlikely, but these are not going to be found anywhere. And one thing that you have to remember is that with these mags, and this of course applies to any gun that could be discontinued, is that once they're gone, that's it. And if you have that one gun, like in this case is Zastava CZ999, I can pick it up, you can find them, but there could be that time when they just go poof. And for these ones, I would say have a minimum of 3. However, I would even go up to 5 or even 10 for these. Because, again, if they discontinue them and they don't have them anymore, you're going to start paying exuberant prices, and it just isn't going to be worth it. Or you're going to have to just bite the bullet, pun intended, and pick up one of these. So it's good to pick them up when you have them in stock if you think there's any hint of the gun going anywhere or being discontinued or just being hard to find. So for these lesser known one, I would say at least 5 for me, up to 10. However, again, with all these, if you have at least 3, it's a good benchmark. You don't need to go over. As long as you feel comfortable with that, go right ahead. Now on to the next one, your daily use mags. Your running gunners, your hard hitters, the ones you take to the range a lot, pick your flavor. For these ones, I would say have at least 10. Again, falls back to that, have a 3 at minimum, but at least 10 as when you're able to get up to that point. Just because if these are your primary weapon, and if you have multiples of these, you should. Now, when I was saying 3 per firearm, it should be 3 per firearm, not just 3 for the type of firearm. So if you have 2 AKs, you should have at least 6 mags, just because you're going to have to split them apart and then one's going to have to share. And just for the fact that you're using these more often, so they're getting more wear and tear on them. Also, if they're your primary fighting rifle, they're the one that you're going to go to most. They're the ones going to be heavily used. And then if you ever need to, you can always fall back on these ones. However, these should be your main bread and butter. And just 10, good solid number. And with that amount, you shouldn't have a need to get any more mags for the foreseeable future, unless you're going through that and running through mag dumps, your heart's content. Of course, in the current climate of the shortage, wouldn't recommend it. Also in the category, don't ever forget your pistol mags. This is a PMag 27 here, and it's basically a Glock knockoff. You can get the 33 rounders. This is kind of falls in between because you can use this for standard, something like this in the Kel-Tec Sub 2000. Keep an eye on the channel for a full review on this one. But for these type of mags, they're kind of the in-between. You can use them in a standard Glock. They can be your daily use. However, wouldn't recommend it. But again, if you're using these just stock up on them. And also, since they are polymer, they do tend to wear out just after a certain amount of time. Now, one thing that's also to be taken into consideration is cross-compatibility of magazines. So, for example, if you have a KS-47, which is the AK-AR hybrid in essence, runs AK mags, but has AR platform. So you would need AR parts for it, like the firing pins, things like that, plus the AK mags. So, you get those kind of cross guns that meet both lines. And in the case of this Kel-Tec, takes Glock mags of all different types. So you can use anything that you want, but also it pairs perfectly with your Glock pistol. So it's nice to have that kind of cross compatibility between mags, so that way you're not having to spend double the amount of money to get double the amount of mags. And with that, that's kind of my 2 cents on how many mags you should have, and just generally kind of good numbers to try to meet, especially with the current election coming up. You don't know what that's going to be, and there always a run on mags. So if you ever feel like you're short and you're down to your last P mag because the other 3 broke during competition last week, I would say pick up some more now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please throw a like, comment, subscribe. I've been really enjoying talking with you guys in the comments, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, awesome, fantastic day. Thanks.